To thank everybody for joining us for our first session of Enverge Next Generation Business Solutions. This is a sneak peek at Microsoft Dynamics 365. I appreciate you all taking the time to join us during our session this morning. So a little bit about me. My name is Paul Clayton. I've been with FMT for about 16 years. I'm a senior practice director here. I've worked with multiple ERP applications, including Dynamics GP, SAP by Design, and NetSuite, and looking forward to sharing a little bit with you about Dynamics 365 this morning. I've worked on hundreds of projects and have seen lots of business processes throughout my time. Some things that I like to do: I love to spend some time at the beach here in sunny San Diego, although it's not too sunny today. I love bike riding, and I also enjoy playing softball for all you softball fans out there. All right, so what are we looking to accomplish today? I'd like to show everybody today a new way of being able to run your business. We'll learn how to efficiently scale a solution with the growth of your business, and we can do it anytime, anywhere, and on any device. And the most important thing, all on a unified platform within the Dynamics 365 environment. So starting off with a little story, I'd like to just kind of start this off with, as a small business owner, you kind of start your day off reading the paper, enjoying some coffee, catching up on current events, maybe checking the currency exchange rates market, and really just you want to get your day started off and your planning started off the right way. So while you're sitting there relaxing, good old Johnny's heading off to school, going to catch the bus, and oops, Johnny misses the bus, and life kind of gets in the way. So as a small business owner, you want to be engaged with your business all the time, but sometimes things just happen. So the next thing you know, you're sitting in the car, you got the kids piled in, and you're driving them off to school. But your business doesn't wait, right? The phone continues to ring. Things happen, people wonder where the boss is at, and then you remember all of a sudden, oh, I've got a dentist appointment. I got to drop the kids off, so now I got to spend another hour or two in the dentist appointment. So again, life's throwing you those curveballs where you need to jump in, and it kind of keeps you from, again, being engaged in your business. But the requests keep on coming. Your business needs things approved, whether it's purchase orders or requisitions. Approval to buy certain things, but while you're disengaged, things could be happening. People could be spending money, capital that's very important, and making decisions that you're not involved with. Also, unsatisfied customers could be calling in, where you need to deal with those types of situations as well. So being disengaged really puts the business owner or the business manager at a disadvantage sometimes. So those things just keep on coming, right? You're on your way over to work, and unfortunately, from your dentist appointment, unfortunately, you get a flat tire. So you're really working hard to get there to the office. Just 10 more minutes. I got to change that flat tire. But I got to remind everybody to make sure that critical order ships today. But again, I've got no way to get in touch with the business to be able to do that. So you finally get to the office, and guess what? You find out that the server crashed. So your day just keeps on getting better and better. So everybody's got to get out of the on-premise server that's there, and we need to reboot the server to bring things back up. So I'm wondering if this sounds a little familiar to anybody out there. So obviously, I'm here to show you kind of a better way of doing this, of really, from the beginning of your day, being engaged within your business. So the way to do that is reinventing the way you run your business and your business in general with Dynamics 365. So Dynamics 365, what is that? It's really Microsoft's approach to an end-to-end business solution in the cloud. So let's talk a little bit about what that means in terms of what it is and how it's built. So the Dynamics 365 application or the solution is built on the Azure platform, very strong and secure data platform. along with many applications that are available and actually embedded within the Dynamics 365 application. So you have Power Apps for custom development, Power BI, which some of you may already be familiar with in terms of data analytics, and a newer product called Microsoft Flow, which is a workflow engine that will allow for custom workflow within the application. So we can throw in Office 365 into this platform as well, or this integrated solution. So some of you may already be familiar with Office 365 and its offerings relative to the productivity tools, CRM, email, that type of thing. And then we bring in, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, Power BI, Cortana Intelligence, and really the Internet of Things. And by the Internet of Things, I mean things like sensors. If you're a service organization and you do installations or you do have equipment that's out there within your customer base, you may want to be getting readings and information or data from those sensors. So really being able to connect to that data and act preemptively as that data comes into your organization. So here's where the Dynamics 365 component comes in. So integrated with Office 365 as well as the Power BI, Cortana, and other data tools, Dynamics 365 is really your ERP component that's going to be available in two editions. The first edition is the Business Edition, which is what we'll be looking at today. It's also known as Dynamics 365 Financials, or, quote, Project Madeira in its pre-release state. And then we'll also be looking at the Enterprise, I'm sorry, we won't be looking at the Enterprise Edition today, and another edition will be available called the Enterprise Edition, which will be a combination likely of Dynamics AX and Dynamics CRM. So we'll couple those with the third-party applications, business applications that are available, and then all of the different apps and add-ins and content packs that will be available on Microsoft AppSource. So Microsoft AppSource, and we'll talk a little bit about this a little later, is another great a great tool or a great offering by Microsoft relative to really an application store that's available for users to go out and grab content packs, add-ins, other applications that are integrated and that are made for the Dynamics 365 platform. So this is a very exciting aspect of the whole picture because as most of you know, the developer community will follow applications that are really gaining momentum out in the business application market, and the AppSource market already has, or the AppSource store already has, close to 200 components, different apps, add-ins, and content packs out there. And this is pre-release. So let's talk about what Dynamics 365 Financials really is. So today, as I mentioned, we'll be focusing on that business edition that we just kind of looked at there, again known as Project Madeira in its pre-release state. So Dynamics 365 Financials is a pure cloud ERP solution. It can be up and running very quickly because the instance is provisioned and it's ready to go. Just needs to be configured and set up with the appropriate item, customer, vendor, and chart of accounts, and basic foundation information and data. And it really allows, which is great, it allows for people and processes to come together. And what I mean by that is we can leverage the productivity tools that are available that you're so used to using with regard to Microsoft Excel or Outlook, and it embeds those processes and those tools, those tools right within the actual business process. So we're using them together, and we'll actually see some of that in motion during our demo session. And one of the other great things about Dynamics 365 Financials is its mobility. So access anytime, anywhere, and on any device. If you remember a little bit earlier in the story that we started off with, we had a business owner or a business manager that was really having a hard time starting off their day and getting connected to their business. Well, with Dynamics 365 Financials and the Office 365 integration, again, whether it's from your Android or your iPhone or your tablet or your desktop, those applications, especially with their responsive design, are available at your fingertips. So one of the other great aspects of Microsoft Dynamics 365 is it really allows you to start with what you need in terms of utilizing the different tools that are available within the business. are within the application. So we can start off with Office 365 and the email and maybe the CRM component, and we can continue to build on that solution by adding, say, Microsoft Dynamics 365 financials in the finance and operations and field service components and that type of thing. So with such tight integration, we can start small and you can really build on the application as the business grows. There's really productivity where you need it. So with the embedded productivity tools with Dynamics 365, the Power BI, the Office tools, embedded email functionality, embedded CRM functionality, we can empower our users to be more productive with that kind of integration. Built-in intelligence relative to Power BI, so being able to analyze the data as it comes in and as the application is updated in real time. And then the solution is really, as I mentioned earlier, poised and ready for growth. So when you're ready to expand or the solution needs to grow with your business, you can do that immediately. So let's take a look. So we're going to look at productivity in the context of process. So by doing that, I want to show you first of all the application. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the application. So if you bear with me just one moment, I'm going to go ahead and pull that up. All right, so here is your first look, once it actually refreshes, at Dynamics 365 Financials. And again, in its pre-release state, it's known as Project Madeira. So we're all looking at right now we're looking at the desktop or the home page of Project Madeira. On the left-hand side, we have our navigation menu. So we can drop down and we can see that we can navigate between the different series of the application, whether that be the finance, sales, or purchasing series, or back on our home page where we can see several different things. We have the opportunity to kind of customize some palettes so we can see ongoing sales information, quotes, orders, invoices, and what the sales are for this month. We can start new transactions right from the home page, whether that be a quote or a sales order or a sales invoice. And then we can also bring in palettes from different or icons from different series as well. So if we want to bring in kind of purchasing related or inventory related palettes, we can certainly do that also. Down towards the bottom here, we've got some favorites relative to some accounts that we like to keep an eye on. So if I've got, maybe I want to keep an eye on my checking account or the balances in the savings account or the AR or AP balances, we can bring our favorite accounts down into this section below here. Over here we've got our reports section. So if we have some favorite reports that we want to run or schedule on a frequent basis, we can actually put those on our home page as well. Over here we have key performance indicators that are embedded into the application. So these are available right out of the application. If we're looking at top 5 customers from a sales perspective, or we want to see where our cash is sitting on a monthly basis, or we want to see what our cash flow might be like relative to receivables, payables, and liquid assets, that type of thing. We can also view that. And then we have some trial balance information as well. So nice thing about this is it's a role-based application, so we can configure that home page relative to what we need to see to be proficient throughout the day. Okay, so let's look at some of the integration that we have available between Dynamics 365 and Office 365. So kind of stepping back just a little bit, you can see here that I've got Julian is logged in to the Office 365 portal. So Julian's profile under his Office 365 portal has various things. He's got email available. He's got the Dynamics 365 financials available. We can see some Yammer links here relative to social media interaction, SharePoint, CRM. So a lot of different functions here available online. Again, most of the apps from an Office 365 perspective are, they've got responsive design embedded into them, as well as the Dynamics 365 Financials application. It actually has an app that you can download onto your phone, so you can operate many of these right from within your phone or from within a tablet. So Julian has logged into his Office 365 account one time and then is able to launch any of these applications under his login. So with Julian, I've got his email inbox up, his Outlook email inbox. I've got his Project Madeira or his Dynamics 365 Financials login. He's connected to social media through his company and through his business partners through Yammer. And he's got Power BI up as well, so if he needs to start running some information or running some reports relative to how things are performing, he can certainly do that. One note there that there is a Power BI content pack available for Dynamics 365 Financials. So we're starting off on the right foot relative to being able to analyze our data as it comes into the business. And then I've got SharePoint, Julian has SharePoint up as well, so he's kind of, again, able to view all these different applications with one login and one session, all under one platform. All right, so if we kind of think back to the story we were talking about earlier with the gentleman being so busy and so disconnected, if that person would have had their cell phone or would have had their tablet, they could easily be engaged within the business. So let's say that one of the customers of this particular company, and we're operating in the Kronos US company for Dynamics 365 Financials right now. One of the customers of Kronos US will actually be working with, let's take a look at just a quick look at the customer. We're going to be working with Landing Leaf. So one of those customers, his name is Jim Cricket. So Jim Cricket has drafted an email, and Jim Cricket for Landing Leaf Incorporated has drafted an email. They're planning an office remodel, so he's going to need a quote for some new furniture. So he's asking in the email, can you provide me a quote for the items listed below? So we've got 4 chairs and 1 table. They plan to renovate by the end of this month. Can we get it shipped fairly soon? So Jim comes out here. He actually sends that email over to Julian. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and minimize Jim's inbox. We can see here that Julian has got an email from Jim. So it's very easy for Julian to take a look at that email from Jim. Things are looking good here. He sees that he's got an opportunity, that one of his customers is looking for a quote. So embedded within the Office 365 Outlook client here is the Project Madeira add-in, or the Dynamics 365 Financials add-in. So if I click on that add-in, the wonderful thing is I haven't left that email, but the email recognizes, and the add-in recognizes that this email is coming from Jim Cricket over at Landing Leaf Incorporated. So I can take a look at some of the information relative to Landing Leaf in terms of kind of what their existing balance is, year-to-date sales, life-to-date sales information. I can dig further into the details if we want. We can take a look at ongoing sales, quotes that are out there, shipments, recent shipments, orders, that type of thing. Really do a lot of different things relative to this company without ever leaving this email. Again, whether that's on my desktop, on my phone, or on my tablet. So Julian wants to be able to continue this process and get Jim the quote as quickly as he can. So even if Julian is sitting in the dentist office, or if Julian is sitting on the side of the road changing a tire, this email comes in, he can very quickly respond to that. So he does that right within the email by dropping down on the New button and selecting Sales Quote. So again, right from the application here, right from the email, I'm actually able to generate this quote. So we've got the London swivel chair, and we want 4 of those. So we've got that line item set, and then we need the Antwerp conference table. And we need 1 of those. All right, so we've built out the quote. I can scroll down, I can check the footer information. Everything looks good there. Once we are happy with it, we can actually, from the email again, send that quote. So I'll send that quote by email over to our buddy over at Landing Leaf. So that email may look something like this. Actually attaches the sales quote to the email. dates it, and prepares it for Jim to review. Okay. Let's send off that email. All right, so Julian has sent the email over to Jim. Jim can pull up in his inbox and should be receiving that email shortly. Here it is from Julian. So Jim looks at that email, checks out the quote, can actually download the PDF and review the quote in line item detail if you'd like. So Jim goes ahead and does that and says, looks great, please proceed. All right, so we can go ahead and send that back off to Julian. So Julian's feeling pretty happy because he's about to receive an email that says he's got a sale. So here we are, we've got the email from Jim, and looking at this quote, so we've got quote 1015 within the system. Right? So Julian sees that Jim has approved that quote, and we can go ahead and proceed. So from there, we can go ahead and make an order. So if I, within that email, drop down and select Make Order, the system asks us, do we want to convert the quote to an order? We respond to that, and now we've got a corresponding sales order for that quote. So we've taken this process from the quote to the sales order, and from there we can continue to process the transaction if we'd like. So this sales order is now created within the Dynamics 365 Financials application, and we can email confirmation over to Jim so that he gets a confirmation email for the sales order, or we can go ahead and post and send the invoice. So just depending on what your business process is, there's a lot of flexibility relative to how you want to send that invoice over to your customer in this situation. So if I select Post and Send, then we get some options here. So we can send the shipment document, we can send an actual invoice, or we can send both the shipment confirmation as well as the invoice. So let's go ahead and click OK on the ship and invoice information or documents. All right, so here we have an email that's popped up, and it's automatically set to Jim Cricket over at Landing Leaf. We've got the sales invoice attached. We have the shipment confirmation attached. We have some information relative to that order from a header perspective for the total order. And we've got some links here relative to a PayPal integration where if Jim so chooses, he can actually hit those links and pay via PayPal, which is one of the add-ins that are available for the Dynamics 365 Financials product. Okay, so let's go ahead and hit send. So Jim has now received the invoice, and any other information that you wanted to add to the body of that email, you certainly could have added. So as we recall, Jim wanted to have that product shipped to him by the 3rd week in the month, so we can edit the body of the email to be able to include that information. Okay, so over here, if we jump back into Dynamics 365 Financials, we can see that for Landing Leaf, we've got, if I click on this particular customer, we can see that we've got our invoice generated for sales order 1015, and then some detail around that sales order. I can drill in further to that detail if we need to. So if I click on the date, we can actually drop ourselves right into the invoice, review this invoice, and then await cash receipt application. So we just took that process from receiving a request to provide a quote to generating the quote, generating the sales order, the shipment confirmation, and the invoice, and doing all of that within the actual email that was received originally from Jim Cricket. So again, we can do that from a mobility perspective from our tablet, from our phone, or from our desktop. Really great functionality there. So if we can do that with the sales, some of you may have a question on your mind. If we can do that with sales, can we do that with other information or other types of transactions as well? And you certainly can. Here within Julian's email inbox, I have another invoice from one of his, and the invoice I don't have attached. I have it actually embedded within the email. But this is an invoice from one of their suppliers. So if we go to the Project Madeira, the Dynamics 365 link within the application, click on that link, again, because of the tight integration between Dynamics 365 Financials and Office 365, we get a recognition of that supplier within our system. So we're pulling up a little bit of vendor or supplier statistics relative to accounts payable and current information, where our invoices sit, where the activity sits. And again, we can delve further into the detail for this particular supplier. We can pop out this screen and we can operate with the application kind of in a popped out separate window if we'd like. But here, as you can see, I can drop down and I can generate a purchase invoice or a purchase credit memo. And again, all of this is based on having the security to be able to do that within the Dynamics 365 Financials application. So this is an excellent example, I think, of how the Dynamics 365 product is really taking the structured functions of business applications and really combining it with the unstructured collaboration of our daily work with our peers, really enabling great productivity. So bringing those tools and those productivity applications right into the process and kind of making them one. Okay, so jumping back to the home page of Dynamics 365, and then back into the customers list, we've got our information updated for Landing Leaf. We've shipped our product over to Jim, and he's a very happy customer, and Julian's a very happy sales rep because he's met his obligation with regard to getting the product out to the customer on time. All right, so let's jump back into, you guys will give me just 1 second. We'll jump back into the PowerPoint. Sorry, we're going to have to scroll through a few. Of my slides because it appears that it didn't jump back into the slide that we left off on. So hopefully you were all asking, well, how can I get my hands on this? How can I actually try out the Dynamics 365 Financials? When is it going to be available for me to use it? So let's talk a little bit about Dynamics 365 Financials general availability. So general availability is slated for 2016 H2, particularly the October timeframe. What's going to be available in terms of that initial release? So we'll really see things like core financial applications, so your AP, AR, GL, bank reconciliation features, fixed asset management. There'll be supply chain management features, so we just looked at some of the supply chain management functionality. We mostly saw kind of the sales and fulfillment side from a quote to order and invoice process, but you have some purchase order or purchase invoice capability right now with purchase orders coming very soon. Sorry, you have some opportunity management capability. So we'll take a look at a little bit about the opportunities here in just a little bit. Workflow capability, I talked about Microsoft Flow a little bit earlier, so we'll be able to embed our workflow functions within the application. And then we've got a little bit of job costing or projects capability as well with the general available release. So what's going to be available in Dynamics 365 in the future? So Microsoft will be adding light manufacturing capabilities, so assemblies or bills of materials, processing a manufacturing order or an assembly order, and then service management capability as well. So your service organizations that have technicians that go out into the field will also be able to leverage Dynamics 365 Financials. So what is the value prop here? If I'm going to use Dynamics 365 Financials as a tool within the organization, what value is it bringing to the table? Well, for those of you that are looking for simple implementation, this is a very good tool, and we'll offer that up. Because it's cloud-based and you stand up the instance immediately, it's ready for use. Obviously, there's some configuration and things that will have to be set up within the solution to be able to use it, but the implementation is very simple and very straightforward. It's very easy to use and manage. So as you can see, we were just in it and kind of navigating through some of the application components. Very easy to be able to get to different KPIs and important data or statistics that we're looking for in an application, right there available within your homepage. Seamless integration with the Office 365 platform. So being able to use it and interact with the application, whether I'm in, say, Outlook or I'm in other applications, because there's such tight integration with Dynamics 365 and the other applications of Office 365, we'll be able to be very productive there. So we have increased productivity for our end users, and with the responsive design characteristics of each one of these applications, from a mobility perspective, we can really leverage that type of functionality. So let's talk a little bit about Dynamics 365 Financials extensions that are available. So I mentioned the app source environment a little bit earlier. So the app source environment is that store that's available where users can log in and load bundles of different add-ins or applications or content packs that have been written specifically for Dynamics 365 Financials. So developers that are out there can actually create their own applications and then send them over to Microsoft. You can actually, there's kind of a process that they'll need to go through, but you can list that application with Microsoft so they can go through an evaluation period. Upon approval from Microsoft, you can go ahead and build that application. And then you can submit the application for testing in a process by which it will be technically reviewed. And then we can publish it to make it available to the end user population. So I've kind of simplified that process a little bit, but the important thing here is we are going to be able to quickly develop an ecosystem around Dynamics 365, which is a great thing because, again, as I mentioned earlier, business applications that are really gaining momentum quickly within the business app market are the applications that developers are going to stand behind and really develop some great applications for that are going to be made available quickly to the end users. And as I mentioned also, there's already 200 or so applications that are available out on the App Source preview. So that in itself, before the actual application release, is great because that's showing that there's momentum behind it, and great momentum already. So who's a fit for Dynamics 365 Financials Business Edition? So the solution currently is really optimized for 10 to 99 companies with 10 to 99 employees in them, for small and medium-sized businesses. And this is, again, as it stands from a general availability release perspective. So with the timeline that we talked about as of October of this year, this is kind of the ideal fit. So around that 5 to 50 million in annual revenue, and obviously there's some plus or minus there. But the product is going to scale up very quickly, and just seeing how this product is developed and what it can do right out of the chute. There's no doubt that this will definitely this product will definitely scale quickly and be a mature product very soon. The idea that again that many of the business solutions that are out there today are being developed in such a way that they can fit certain verticals very well. Because we're leveraging IP that's out there, we're leveraging bundles that have already been written, or we're leveraging App Source where we can pull applications down that are specific to a business function. really what that means is lower implementation costs for products like Dynamics 365 Financials, greater integration. So the greater integration means you're not having to spend money bolting these applications together like you used to have to do, and you can invest that working capital into other areas of your business to grow your business. All right, so opportunities. So let's take just a quick look at opportunities and how you can kind of incorporate or interact with the CRM functionality of Dynamics 365. So if you give me just 1 second, I'm going to switch on over to the application again. Okay, so we're back in Dynamics 365. So over to the right, top right of the application is what's called a global search. Global search is great because it allows us to search for certain pages or reports within the application by just typing in the name there. So if I take a look at opportunity list, so I type in opportunity list and it brings me right to those objects within the application. So this is a great method for being able to quickly navigate through the application and find certain things. So if you're thinking back to my story a little bit earlier where maybe I was sitting in the dentist chair or I was not quite to the office yet because I had all these things happening and other things in life kind of taking me in different directions, I'm still able to be engaged with the opportunities that are coming into the business. I'm still able to create opportunities and add them to the opportunity list here in the Dynamics 365 Financials application. Again, with responsive design, you see this here on your screen relative to kind of your desktop monitor, but this gets sized appropriately so that it can be viewed on a tablet or within the phone app as well. So I have a total interaction with these lists, so I can come up here and I can sort them in ascending, descending order. I can come up here and apply filters relative to these opportunities, so if I just want to see the opportunities that are open, I can do that. From here, I can easily create a new opportunity, so it launches an additional screen. So I can come in here, I might have an additional furniture sale. If I am sitting in the dentist office, then I can look at the dentist and say, hey, look at those tables and chairs over there in your conference center. They're looking a little bit old. Would you like to replace them? So, if while I'm sitting there letting that cavity filling set in, if the dentist says, yes, I'd like to actually get some new tables and chairs, I can't believe you're offering that up, you can just enter that opportunity right into your phone right there and save that off and then have your sales folks continue to process that opportunity. So if I enter this opportunity the rest of the way and all the details associated with that opportunity, it would add it to the opportunity list, and from there I got a new opportunity record within the system. So there it is for the sales team to pursue, issue a quote for, and then ultimately have the sale. Okay, so some great capability there out of the system. Obviously, there'll be other integration points from a Dynamics CRM perspective as well with the Dynamics 365 products, but relative to just kind of looking at how Dynamics 365 Financials allows you to capture and process opportunities, taking that opportunity right to a quote or moving that quote right to a sales order like we looked at before. That's all process that is totally embedded within the application. Very easy to do. Okay, so jumping back over into the PowerPoint, and bear with me guys, I'm not sure why this is behaving the way it is, but unfortunately it's taking me all the way through each one of my slides. So let me get back to where I was before. All right, so Project Madeira, or the Dynamics 365 Financials TAP program. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what that means. So customers that are interested in seeing Project Madeira, potentially using Project Madeira, being part of that initial release program, you still have an opportunity to do that. Like I mentioned, it's going to be released in October, so next month. So the time frame is quickly closing there in order to be a member of the TAP program. But the goal with that program is really to bring customers live during the pre-release time frame. Obviously, we want to be able to do that so we can get some early feedback in terms of how the application is behaving. Other areas where we need to focus efforts on relative to being able to improve the application. In terms of who's a fit, if you're thinking about being a part of the TAP program, obviously FMT would love to hear from you relative to your interest if you do want to be part of that program. But if you're a small to medium-sized business and this is not required, but if you are an existing Office 365 business, you have an existing Office 365 license, then that is obviously helpful because we looked at the integration and how that all works together a bit earlier. If you're a prospect for upgrading from QuickBooks or Sage, Dynamics 365 Financials out on AppSource already has extensions that are available for migrating data, quickly migrating data out of QuickBooks or out of Sage and into the Dynamics 365 Financials product. So again, if you'd like to be a part of that TAP program, we would love to hear from you to help you make that decision. All right, a few takeaways relative to the Dynamics 365 Financials product that we've reviewed. So as we looked at it, it's an intelligent, comprehensive, cloud-based solution. So bringing everything together relative to what the productivity tools can offer, embedding that within the application so that you're being very productive in your business process. Simple implementation, so very simple, very quick implementation, up and running quickly. Just requires that migration process relative to setting up customers, setting up vendors, chart of accounts, and some of the other parameters within the application. Seamless integration with things like Outlook, things like your SharePoint and your Office 365, all of your productivity tools like Microsoft Excel, Word, also PDF. We saw that we can easily take things out to PDF or send them out to files. Full integration with Excel throughout the application as well. So that opportunity list that we were looking at a little bit earlier, we can drop that right on out to an Excel export file or any of the registers that we want to drop out. We can certainly take them out to Excel as well. So seamless integration with all those different types of products. And the momentum is really building. It's building quickly. Dynamics 365 Financials, again, kind of fits that market that we talked about a little bit earlier, but it will definitely gain momentum and it will definitely grow to be able to handle larger businesses than what we even looked at a little bit earlier. And it's poised to do that already with just the great participation that we're seeing out there on the AppSource site as well. Okay, so I think I'll open it up for questions. I think we do have a few questions relative to some of the participants. So one of the questions is, how easy is it to convert an existing GP customer to this? So there isn't a GP migration tool just yet. I haven't heard anything relative to there being a tool to migrate from GP to Dynamics 365 Financials. But the nice thing about it is Dynamics 365 Financials, it has embedded CSV import capability. So getting that data out of Dynamics GP, whether it's GL data, customer data, vendor data, fixed assets data, obviously can be done through smart list exports or different types of export capability. We set up those import templates and we draw that information right into Dynamics 365 Financials. So I think it would be a fairly quick migration process. Just really depends on how much of that data you want to take out of your existing solution and put into Dynamics 365 Financials. We have another question here. If I participate in the Project Madeira TAP program, what is the cost of licensing? So I do know that the cost to participate, there is no cost from a licensing perspective to participate in the TAP program. So the license is free up to the point at which general availability hits. So as I mentioned, that time frame is closing fairly quickly, but it is, user licenses are free up until the point of general availability. Are assemblies, another question, are assemblies part of the GA release? No, assemblies are, I don't believe, are going to be part of the GA release, but if you remember that slide that was I went through a little bit earlier, that is coming within a future release of Dynamics Financials or the Business Edition. So that along with service management capabilities. Another question just came in. Do you know if Microsoft will offer this as a hybrid or on-premise solution as well? So I am fairly certain that this will only be offered as a cloud-based solution. There seems to be very intense focus on being able to offer cloud-based ERP solutions from a Microsoft perspective. As I mentioned, this application will gain momentum within the market very quickly for small and medium-sized businesses, so it's really going to be a focus on cloud-based solutions. Another question, how about data dumping? How easy is it to export large data sets? Great question. Because of the integration with Excel, we've got both import and export features sets, so we can utilize the embedded Excel integration to be able to export data just like we're using the CSV file import capabilities to bring it in. So because of that tight integration, we have good data export capabilities even if it's a large data set. Another question, audit trails. Will every transaction be posted in detail? Oh, that's a good question. That one I may have to follow up with you on. I mean, you are able to drill into the application and look at the different types of detail that are available from say a general ledger perspective. If you wanted to drill into a certain journal entry, you kind of get a list view initially, but then you can drill into the detail of that particular journal entry and see the information around it. Just like we looked kind of at an invoice list, we looked at an opportunity list. Those lists formats are pretty ubiquitous throughout the application, and from there there's typically a hyperlink that allows you to drill into the detail or the lowest level so that you can see the associated debit and associated credit. Looks like we got another one. Is user pricing available? That's a great question. So unfortunately we haven't received user pricing from the Microsoft team just yet. But folks are, from a VAR perspective, are going to be meeting out in Chicago. I believe that's this month. And then there's another meeting coming up sometime in the October time frame as well. And for this meeting coming up in Chicago, we have our fingers crossed that they will actually be providing pricing for the application. So we're very eager to get our hands on that. But I can assure you that because of the tight integration between Office 365 and Dynamics 365 Financials, Microsoft is going to make it very enticing for the business application user community to be part of that full-blown purely cloud solution. So they're going to make that pricing very competitive and very attractive. Okay, I think that's all the questions that we have. Really appreciate you all attending this session for Dynamics 365 Financials and being patient with me as I had to scroll through my PowerPoint slides. We've got another session coming up from 11:30 to 12:30, Realize Your Full Potential with Office 365. So from there you get to see a little bit more of the Office 365 product and how that works and the components of Office 365. While you're watching that one, keep in mind that, again, Dynamics 365 Financials is fully integrated with that solution, as we saw a little bit earlier with Julian's profile. So that'll be a great session to attend. Thank you, everybody, and enjoy your day.